Okay,
Whenever.
that's a good question.
So I mentioned, you ready?
Oh yeah.
I mentioned before, kind of, because the big history thing is asking about Hitler. Everyone wants to know everyone's opinion ever. Did your parents ever express anything, or people in the village? Were there people that were against, what he was doing, or how did that play into your everyday life?
That was very nice. We had the restaurants and they had dances and it was nice. It was a nice town.
Mm.
Yeah.
Alma, did you ever hear anything, or did your parents or your mom or dad say anything about Hitler at all?
Well, I guess my father, because we did hear about the Holocaust too.
Where you lived, you knew it was happening?
We heard after we were in Austria, not in Yugoslavia, in Austria, and we heard about that. And my father said, no one should try to eradicate a nation. And some of the stuff when they had the speeches and things, they didn't agree with the things, and if they would be against it, they would wind up in a concentration camp. Because I think my brother-in-law, Uncle Ignaz, he wound up one time because he opened his mouth. He was my older sister, Tante Anna's husband,
Mm-hmm.
and he wound up, and so he told us a few stories, not much.
What happened with him?
He got out, and he came back home and to Austria, and they.
Well, he was in the army too.
Yeah, he was. That's why I
Yeah.
said he was in the army, and he opened his mouth, and he knew about the concentration camp, and he was against it, and he got thrown in too.
Did he
So-
ever say what happened? Did they do anything to him, or just jail him, or?
No. He was a very quiet person. He wouldn't, say much.
Did you know any Jewish people in your village or anywhere that you were at?
We had no Jewish people.
We had one who had the store. Remember, the Jewish one who had the Bruno, das Geschäft.
The one in Jewish.
Yes, they were. They were Jewish.
No,
Did you know what happened to them, or?
no, we don't know.
We didn't know nothing
We didn't know
after
nothing.
after the war. We found out about the stuff, and we felt very bad, about that because a lot of the, good people, they were.
I only
innocent.
know my father was very upset when you heard, and he took the Zigeuner, what do you call them?
Gypsies.
The gypsies, and he was on our field, and there was a Croatian man, and he said he has to go someplace where Hitler told him, and he said to my father if he can hide something for him, and my father took it for him. But he said it's not right. No man has a right to do that. And he said Hitler will never win. No man has a right to do that to anybody. So that's all I know about Hitler.
Yeah. So, in the beginning, I guess when he started, he tried, because there was a lot of unemployment and everything, he tried to, make stuff, create jobs for the German people. But then later on, it went to his head, and I guess he was a little crazy, But even his own officers, they tried to kill him, but they didn't succeed because they even didn't want what he was ordering.
Did you hear about that at all, or did you find out later on?
We found out about it later on, and they didn't succeed, So there's a lot of things. I mean, like, we were too young, and like I said, we didn't have that much news coming into our town because of not, and even though we were whole town German, we didn't even have electricity or roads or anything because we were German. So the Yugoslavs didn't give us all the stuff, you know. The end of the town, that's where the blacktop stopped, and the neighboring towns. We had a church, but we didn't have a priest. But we had the neighboring town where where we got baptized and married and buried from there.
What religion did you practice?
We practiced Catholic, Roman Catholic. And when Marie and I, we went back in 1999 with a few cousins of ours who could speak Croatian, and we went back into our town of Krndija, which is spelled Krndia. And we looked around, and I went into the church, and I said, our parents worked so hard to build this town, and they had to leave with just what they could put on the wagon. But thank God I'm going to America. And when we went into the neighboring town to the priest, where was our parish, and we told the priest our date of birth, and it was a young priest, and he could speak Croatian, English, and German. And he said, come back tomorrow and you will get your baptismal certificate. And that's what we did. We got it, and it's also in Croatian. I have it, and she has hers, and she had her twin brother who died at 2 months or 3 months, and she got his baptismal certificate too. She wanted to have that he existed.
So how did you negotiate to be able to come to America? What was the process, if you could tell me from the beginning to end, how you came to America?
Well, I guess from what I remember, America opened a quota for refugees, and since we were no citizens anymore of Yugoslavia or Austria, we were refugees. And United States opened the quota, and National Catholic Welfare sponsored a lot of us. And my mother, Elizabeth, and my sister, my oldest sister, no, my mother, she went on the wagon train. My oldest sister and her 2 sons, her 2 kids, and me, we went by train into Austria. And and when we came to America, it was my oldest sister came in November
What year
before
do you
us. That was in 40.
You came in 52.
She came in 51 in November 51, and her and her 2 kids were in 51. They came over in New York, and they had her husband had a relative in the Bronx, and they took them out, and they got them super jobs, and they had an apartment with a super job, and we came in April of 1952, and that was my mother, my brother Joe, and his wife Anna, and their daughter Lori, and myself. We came in April, and we wound up in New York also. We were supposed to go into St. Louis, Missouri, to a farmer because they had to sponsor the National Catholic Welfare had people sponsor us, but they said if we have somebody in New York who could take us out, we don't have to go there. So that's how we wound up in New York. And Pier 80, my sister came and she took us out, and we found my brother got a superintendent job in the Bronx, and my brother and his wife Anna, they went to work, and my mother stayed home to mind the business, the store, the super job.
What is this super job?
The superintendent is for the building, janitor for the building, And I went to work in Long Island to a doctor, Jewish doctor, and I got the job through a German employment agency on 86th Street. They would find jobs for people, for the German people.
Do you remember the doctor's name?
Dr. Schwartz.
Okay, so
And her name was Eileen Schwartz.